all grown up. Most of us know the topic just in general, but a lot of us don't put it in and apply it to what we're actually doing today. We think about younger girls, we think about middle school, high school girls, but we don't really think about adults still being that way. So we're going to talk about how it works in our community and in the workplace. As Jeff said, my name is Darla Sees. I own Sees HR Consulting and go out and help small businesses with their HR. So I am a small business HR department, basically, me and my teammate here. What's the purpose of today? The most important thing to do is to help people understand that they need to stay professional no matter what somebody else does to you. Basically, you have the options of making the difference to yourself. First, I wanted to start off with just a little, how do I do this, Jeff?
There you go.
Hello?
Internal.
If someone said something bad about you, you'd want me to tell you, right? No. What if it was someone you thought was your friend? What do you... Hold on, other line. I'm not taking this anymore.
Good for you, Gretchen.
Hello?
Let's go out.
Okay, hold on. I'm on the other line with Gretchen.
Don't invite Gretchen. She's driving me nuts.
Hold on.
Okay, hurry up.
It's Regina. She wants to hang out with me tonight, but she told me not to tell you. Do not hang out with her. Why? Oh, you don't want me to tell you. Oh, she can tell me. Hold on. Oh my gosh, she's so annoying. Who is? Who's this? Gretchen. Right. Hold on. Oh my god, she's so annoying.
I know. Just get rid of her.
Okay, what is it? Regina says everyone hates you because you're such a slut. She said that? You didn't hear it from me.
A little harsh, Gretchen.
Whatever, she has a right to know. I can't go out. I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
That face just about says it all, doesn't it? Brings back some memories of just how some of us females were back in high school, back in middle school. It's very blatant whenever you're at that age, whenever you're in the environment to allow for relational aggression to occur. It changes a little bit as we get older, and that's what we're going to talk about. It still happens. We don't talk about the same subjects. We talk about different subjects which usually directly relate to your work and how you're impacted at work. So what exactly is relational aggression? Relational aggression is the use of relationships to hurt another. It's a way of verbally abusing someone to make sure that it inflicts some sort of danger on someone. And there are many different views of this. There are many different ways of doing it. It doesn't necessarily have to be verbal. It can also be, an eye roll. It could be an ignoring somebody the next time they come into work. It can be saying something to somebody else so that the other female doesn't like a certain female at work. There's just a whole gamut of different levels of meanness, basically, that happens within female relationships inside the workplace. I'm going to primarily talk about females today because that's what I've worked with. That's what I know. I have worked with a lot of men, and there are some men that will fit into this category as well too. We all know that. But mainly for today, relational aggression is going to relate to females on females. And it doesn't mean all females are like that, so just put that little blurb out there. Not all females are like that, but we often probably identify a couple that are like that at least, that's impacted our life sometime throughout the times. So let's look about, it all starts. Where does it start and how does it start? As adolescents, we start different rumors about people. Boo, you whore. That's kind of an example of them starting a rumor about one of the young ladies there. They start cliques. They have different places where they're going to sit on the tables together. They have different activities that they do, and they don't let other people come up and join them into that activities. And then excluding people, that would be just like even after school clubs or certain activities. Maybe you're not good enough to make the cheers team or the dance team or something like that, and you start excluding people from that kind of stuff. And even within the different organizations, they have different cliques within that as well. Start teasing someone. It just doesn't really matter what it's about. They just start teasing them about their different little stuff. Oh, that shirt makes you look fat, or something maybe not as aggressive as that, but something that makes sure that that female has shown that I'm better than you because I look better in my shirt today than you do. Looking at the hostile Body language, that's just, you see people rolling eyes at people, between ladies. You can see, just the sometimes it does get physical, maybe just a little nudge. Or, walking in and making sure that they own their place in the conversation and the other person is kind of excluded. It just depends on the different roles that you play in different areas there. And all that you get pretty good at. You get pretty good when you're an adolescent and you're in high school, you get pretty good at it. Now when you become older as adults, we do it totally different. We do add some of those conversations and some of those behaviors, but we also add a whole new layer. Because you know what? We now have about 20 years experience. So now we really know how to do it. And the impact is totally different than it is whenever you're younger. When you're younger, yes, it does hurt you. And yes, there are suicides. There are issues that happen when you're younger. There are people overeating when they're younger because they are impacted. There are people that just do different behaviors because they are impacted in different ways for this. Same thing happens when we're older. But now we're talking about jobs. We're talking about things that bring money that brings home to your family. When you don't have your job anymore, what happens? Your whole family is affected. Mm-hmm. Your relationship with your husband is affected. You're not being the role model you need to be for your younger daughter that's still having to deal with this as well because it just kind of continues to go on. So what do we do as adults? We undermine behaviors. Maybe someone, Juju, right next to you who has done excellent on a project, you're like, yeah, I've seen better. Comments like that kind of puts what their productivity and what the results really are instead of leading them up. Or, maybe we did a project together and I take all the credit for it. Yeah, she really did too much. She was actually out, that day sick, so I did most of it when she was out sick anyways. Or she just didn't have the expertise to do it, so I had to take over it all and do it all myself. That kind of stuff to the managers to make sure that they know who took the credit for it. Key communications can be kept from you. If you find out something that would really help somebody in their work environment, you make sure she doesn't know. Who cares if she doesn't know about a certain training that she needs to go to? Who am I supposed to tell her? When typically you could have told her if you really liked the person. You would have set that up. Avoidance. Oftentimes we'll come into the office and we'll just ignore you. Just completely give you a cold shoulder and just ignore you. Just trying to see how you're going to handle that. Lack of support to fulfill roles and responsibilities. So it could be someone that reports to you, and it could be something where they're being very passive aggressive and not doing everything that they know to make you look good compared to other managers look good. And sabotage. We do have a tendency to set up others and sabotage their career, or make them have an environment that makes them act out to where they sabotage their career, but it's ultimately from some of the behaviors that you have done. So I want to talk about how it goes from early in life all the way to the end. Not saying that this is the end of their life. Because they're not saying that. Sorry about that. I should not say that. When we used to work in a doctor's office, we used to say, yeah, we go from birth to death because we did. But this is the elementary school. Elementary school, we start that. You're not my friend. I don't want to be friends with you today. I don't want to play with you out on the playground. That kind of stuff. We start that kind of stuff very early in life. We'll start telling little things to our little friends about somebody else. Not meaning anything wrong with it. You're just still young. You just don't know what to do with it. And especially if they're not taught how to deal with it at that age. Then we get into middle school, high school. It gets a lot worse for teenagers there. Especially if they don't know how to handle it. One of the things that really interests me the most about researching this subject is just some of the teenage deaths that have happened with the females. Today is a lot worse than it was when we were younger, when some of us were younger. They can instantly bully someone very fast within 5 seconds on Facebook. Mm-hmm. They can send out text extremely fast. I mean, before, I got a fly going, sorry. Before, it used to be to where you used to have to tell Juju, and Juju had to tell Bobo, and we did the whole telephone effect. So it took a little bit longer for a rumor to get, and then if somebody doesn't believe that rumor, what happens? It stops. But now, all it has to take is one little post, and it takes you less than a minute to really ruin somebody's life, or to text or something like that. So the impact is even larger, and not only that, but they can't get away from it. Before, whenever we used to go home, we used to be able to get away from it. We had a landline that people could call you on, that your parents could monitor, and for the most part, nobody's calling you after 10 or 8 or whatever your parents' rule is. That's not the case anymore. Now they have their devices that they take everywhere with them, and they can't get away from it. So they can't unplug, which is really huge. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if it matters or not, but do you think this is, intentional behaviors or learned behaviors, or?
I think both. I think some things, well, both, and maybe a third. I think some of them is intentional, and I think some of it is unintentional. But I think when you get to a certain age, we know what we're doing. And we know which individuals we're going to do it again. Doesn't mean that we're like that with all females, because there's a lot of females that we're not like it. But that one that we might feel insecure about, or might think that one has a little bit more power than us, or more self-esteem than us, we know how to try to stab at that person. So. And it is learned. I agree with you. Your second thing is I think it is learned. I think that me being a mother of two young girls, a 10 and a 12-year-old, it's important for me to set the role model, because I have girlfriends too, and if I talk about my girlfriends, if I do things inappropriate, they're going to watch me and they're going to see it.
I guess what I'm thinking here is, how much of it becomes a habit?
If you get your way one way and keep on doing it, absolutely, absolutely. It sure can. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say it's interesting to note that suicide is the number 2 cause of death among teenagers. And I'm sure that this is a big contributor to that. Wow.
Yeah. And all the schools that we, especially like LASD, are schools that we have the no place for hate inside our school districts now. And a lot of that talks primarily about bullying, which the olden days, or what we like to believe bullying is someone going out in the back parking lot and beating them up. That's not the case anymore. That primarily is for males bullying, because males have a way of handling the situation and it being done, and then we'll figure out who's the winner, and the next day you would know your hierarchy. For females, we have a tendency to hold on to something that happened, like in 1972, and all of a sudden over here, we remember it, add a little piece to it, so we have 10 different incidents that started this one thing, and we remember it. We don't forget very quickly, not at all. So, okay, so that's very important to know that even my mom she goes and she does line dancing with about 30 ladies 3 or 4 times a week. And some of the things that my mom even shares to me, she's 67 years old. Some of the things that she shares with me, I'm like, really, Mom? You guys are still dealing with this?
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's like, man, it never ends. It just never ends. It ends when you decide to make it end yourself. Because if you set yourself up to where you're not going to be if you're a no zone, then that's when it ends. But we don't just grow out of this behavior. So unless we choose to grow out of this behavior. So why is it important for you to understand anything about this? Since it's Small Business Week, I think it's important for small business to understand this. Why? Because it hurts your bottom line. As point as possible. This can impact different relations with your folks on your team. It can make it to where someone's setting somebody else for termination. Whenever we turn over people, it costs a lot of money to turn over people and to train other people. That's one area. Or the worst is both of them stay on your team, and you're paying them quite a bit of money to figure out how they're going to set the other person up. So you're not paying them for their productivity anymore. Now you're paying them to figure out who's going to one up the next person the next day. Because we can't just turn it off and on whenever we get someplace. We like to think a little bit more on this stuff. So it impacts the bottom line, which is always for small businesses. What's important is, oh, okay, now we're talking. If you hear the dollar signs going. So there's different roles that are played, and this is also taught like in the elementary schools all the way up from the No Places to Hate, and the different roles. And the same thing for bully and in relational aggression as well too. There's different roles. The first role is the queen bee. This is the person that is extremely aggressive. This is the person that always has something to say. This is the person that knows how to set the other people up. So if it's not even that they're saying something, they're getting talking somebody else into getting how to get them set up. So this is usually the one that you'll see that is really aggressive. The next one is the middle bee. This is the bystander. This is the one that sits there and watch it go. Watch it go on. Is it gonna impact people? I don't know if I'm gonna say anything because I might be in the middle of it now. Or this also could be the person that knows exactly what to say to get that queen bee to light up. She knows what that queen bee needs to know, to get her going, and she feeds her stuff. So this is a very powerful position. This is a very powerful position in both ways, because you can actually decide to stand by the victim and help the victim out and stop some of the behaviors, or you can really go over to the queen bee side of it and decide to set them up and make sure that they're effective themselves. So it's very powerful. And the last one is the afraid to be. This is the victim. This is the one that the bullseye is on and the target's on, and depending upon how people want to handle them and how the victims want to handle themselves, is whether they stay as a victim or they're not. So it really just depends on what this person chooses to do as they are. So right now I have an experiment for you guys. You guys each have a color, and I would like each color to separate. So I would like the yellows up here, the blues over there, and the pinks over here, please.
I'm not in the right place. I like hot pink.
I'm a pink.
What's that? What's your feature?
It's actually a healthy
I don't know how to even these out.
natural wellness products.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Not a pink.
Okay, cool.
Well, I don't know what
Oh my
color.
goodness, I'm gonna roll. Okay.
Oh, you was with the yellow.
So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you a scenario,
Turn your chairs on.
and you guys can stand or sit for this, because you guys are going to actually talk into your different groups in here, and you guys are all going to act very different. So I'm going to have this group over here, the blue. We'll do blue for bullies. You guys are the bullies.
Oh.
We have the yellows here. You guys are going to be the ones that are in the middle. You guys are the bystanders. You guys are the ones watching. How it's handled. And you guys are the victims this time.
Oh, no.
You guys are the afraid to be. Yes, you are. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one we have is Jan has been promoted for a position that you wanted. And so the victim, you're the ones that wanted that position. How are you going to handle this, and what would you say to the other people? In your particular role, what would you say? And actually, you're probably Jan. The bully is going to be Jan, because Jan's going to take it out.
We wanted to We wanted to.
So you guys take about a minute, talk about a minute, and then we'll talk to each other.
Now, where's the middle bystander?
Somebody
Yeah, it's like
So we
you
gotta
just
decide.
accept that
You
person
accept
was
it?
better.
I'm not.
And start saying that, well, I wasn't part-time, maybe I need to go back to school, or maybe I need to, you start second guessing your abilities because of someone else got the position.
Yeah.
And that's how my daughter's actually kind of experiencing that, she's looking for a new job. So every time, that is the hardest thing in life.
Yeah, and then
That's another
girls
reason.
have to do
Yeah,
different
because she'll
now.
be
They
like,
start
well,
going back and
I
forth.
was like, no, you don't.
You are qualified. You are good.
That's what
Right.
I say. You qualified.
You don't know how to
You just need to
respond.
wait until the job. Instead of trying to get yourself, because the only problem now going back to school is like another
Yeah.
40,000 bills.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I was like, I think you need to wait. You don't want, you already got student loans, you know. You're good enough.
Yeah.
You just wait for the first thing to come before you pay.
Yeah.
Get rid
I
of
know
one.
being afraid to be
Easier,
here,
right?
not going to address the issue.
No, you would
I
never.
don't think we would address the issue.
Yeah.
We wouldn't face it, I should say. We would not confront it. Not
No,
that we
you're not
wouldn't
making
address it. Don't get me wrong, because choosing to move to another area or another job or something is addressing the issue. Probably in the wrong way, but I don't think we would talk about it to anybody,
You
especially
would never
not
say anything to
boss.
anybody, not nobody.
If we're afraid to be, yes.
I'm not afraid, but
Okay, are we ready?
yeah.
You guys have your time? 30 seconds.
Who's gonna speak for the group? No. Everybody afraid to be,
Afraid to
okay.
be.
You afraid to be the speaker?
Oh, you're pink, you're pink.
I mean, I had to give me good, you know.
You're gonna have to speak to the guy.
You're afraid to be afraid. Oh!
I need to leave.
You alright, you alright. But you know, it's so funny how, like, I've been working in the classroom, so I sub sometimes. They will get up, you be like, who wants to work?
Okay.
No, silent. Yeah.
It is.
Ready?
like.
Okay, we ready.
Since Jan just got the
That was very
promotion,
interesting.
usually the supervisor that just gets promoted starts something, or starts enacting her, that she's promoted. How did you guys just handle that? What did you guys just do?
Well, we kind of looked at it from two ways. So in this,
Let's try the first one. Let's play that scenario out.
Well, I think we said we felt we deserved this promotion, and we're glad that the management finally recognized our potential.
and we have all these great plans for
And you
everybody.
verbalize that to the team.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. What's your response?
Who was that?
Who did not get the position?
Afraid to be?
The afraid to be would not say anything and would internalize it and start thinking about all the things that's wrong with them.
Okay, so tell us, throw them out. What's
So
wrong
it'd
with
be
them?
like people saying, well, maybe I wasn't qualified, maybe I need to go back to school, maybe I need to do something else so I can get the job next time.
Okay. So it has a lot to do with themselves.
Correct. They
Okay.
internalize whatever the decision is.
Okay, so you have seen, as a supervisor, you see that she's withdrawn. Starting to think about herself. Now, how are you going to handle that?
Build them up some.
How, in a positive sense, or how do some people
As a
handle it?
bully.
As
a bully, you don't go down on
As a bully, how would a bully handle
Oh,
it?
sit on the train.
Continue to marginalize and not recognize the fact that they're suffering and sad. You know.
Can micromanage them.
That's
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
They got passed over for a reason.
They got passed over.
So, there you go.
Right.
Well, you
All right.
probably need to go back to school.
So you guys, as the middle folks, bystanders, see this going on, what would y'all do?
I would try to build this group up.
Okay.
Try to not make it affect them as much.
I don't want to piss them off because they're in power, so I'm going to stay back a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to get involved. I'm going to stay Switzerland.
I don't know if we could be passive aggressive and try to neutralize some of the antagonism by being positive.
So you're trying to influence your supervisor now to be a positive, that this is positive.
Right.
Be sort of a mediator between the two.
Okay. That's a lot of responsibility
Yeah,
for
that's
one
the-
team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a supervisor over there. That's a lot of
You didn't even
responsibility.
get the job.
You didn't even apply for the job.
We didn't, yeah, we weren't interested.
Yes.
Take the risk that
Yes. Now, how many times have we seen a
They're
scenario
chilling.
profile out like this where a female has got a new role and they think, I was better than everybody else?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we also thought that it could create a situation where what did you call them?
Afraid
Afraid to be.
Afraid to be's.
The victims.
Because potentially the person who got promoted is not a bully, they're just more qualified. If the playing field was relatively even, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then we were also saying that it could open the door for the afraid to be's to then take on that bullying behavior because they're irritated and
Absolutely.
they thought that was not justified. So then they start all that undermining, come meet me in the break room, walk with me to the bathroom, and start
That's
having
true.
all these undermining types of conversations.
Absolutely.
And then they're working on the middle people to get on their side.
We talked more about how to get the middle people
On your
away
side.
from the bully and afraid to be close.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
And it usually, it doesn't always
Break the team down.
go those two ways. Sometimes it's actually a smooth transition, but usually it is either to where the female who just got the power thinks that she's the power, or the female that did not get the power figures out a way to set her
Undermine
up
her power.
and undermine her and sabotage
Yes.
her in different ways because she still hurt that she didn't get the position.
Right.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I've seen it both ways.
Yes, it goes both ways. And sometimes it goes totally smooth.
Right.
So, I mean, you just about a 1/3 chance of it go whatever way you want it to go.
So
But
if
it
you
all
take
just
it
depends
on,
on the
you
females
gotta
that's
be
involved in that. Right? Any other feedback for that?
I've seen this happen on numerous occasions with professionals. Not
And it's
just-
key that you just said with professionals. That's
They
the
were,
joke.
yeah, I mean, really. I don't want to give examples, but
No,
it's,
I understand.
I've heard of it, I've had it happen to me. And it's very, very difficult, it's very hurtful.
Yep. Yep. Yes, sir.
I've often seen the female who was the quiet one, the afraid to be, actually make a decision that I'm going to leave that company because of this, and not address any of the issues, just up and run away. depending on personnel.
No, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Sometimes it's easier to run than to stand up for it. Anybody else with feedback on how they've seen this work before? So it's a real life scenario. It really does happen.
Oh, yeah.
Very hard to
Okay.
deal
That's
with.
real.
Very hard to deal with, yes.
I wish I'd known you then. I would have asked for your advice.
Awesome, that's a great comment there.
That was good.
Okay, we have another one, so we're gonna switch roles. You guys are the bullies, you guys are the bystanders, and you guys are the victims. So we kind of just rotate roles.
So we're the bullies.
You're a bully.
Yes.
Yes,
We're the
Mrs.
queen.
You are a bully.
There are victims.
Okay. So it could go, all of these could go different ways. So we're gonna talk about two different scenarios that could go. I'm gonna read my scenario, you guys tell me which route you're gonna go first.
Okay.
But it says, you just got back from a 3-week-long medical leave. When you return, a new team member is very tight with other team members. You didn't even know her before she left. She came in within these last 3 weeks.
Dang.
She seems to know more about everything than you do, and she rubs you wrong.
Ooh.
How do you handle that?
When is she leaving?
She can leave as fast as she can.
We the
No,
bullies.
we're the bullies. Gone.
Yeah.
We're the gone bullies.
Yeah.
And now we're
And we
back.
came back.
Somebody's taking our authority.
Right, well,
That's exactly.
yes, but I think the big thing that she read there is that they rubbed us wrong, and we're the queen bee.
Right.
So how do we handle that as a queen bee when somebody rubs us wrong?
I would say little things like sitting at lunch, or like for instance where I work, we have Friday lunches. I could see something where they kind of take the table or whatever where she couldn't come and sit. So kind of like feeding fuel to the fire. Yeah.
Finding ways.
I'm back.
So I'm in
here.
charge. Yeah.
I'm here before you.
Get all your friends to your table.
Right.
Yeah.
Or coming in and starting rumors about the one who's tight, so that kids start questioning their
Yeah.
tightness.
Yeah.
Like saying she's stealing.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, is it right? She turning the wrong thing. You know, just using little things. Did you know?
Yeah.
I send out an email and don't include them on the email.
Right.
That is the one that.
Create
Oh, we want to this thing, you know. It's like,
You weren't in my
We have about 30 more seconds.
I didn't know you were here or something.
That's crazy. There's a young lady who had her PhD, moved to a new job in Houston. The boss in Houston didn't have her PhD and felt threatened by the And the new girl was pregnant. I mean, obviously pregnant. She just totally ignored all of that, ignored her maternity leave, all kinds of stuff. It was terrible.
Yeah, and that's what
So I guess that's sort of like, and everybody did gravitate.
5 more seconds.
Right, because she was.
But she was ostracized by the boss. Yeah.
All right, let's discuss this out.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did good.
You should be. Yeah.
Okay, so
You
who
should
just,
represent us.
I don't remember who I assigned you to. Who?
We're the bullies.
Whoops. Who just
Queen
returned?
bee.
You're the queen bees? Okay.
Queen bee.
So which scenario are we gonna go with first, queen bees?
Which what?
Which scenario we're gonna go with first?
Are you the new person that's to the team? Or are you the person just returned from medical leave?
Just return.
Just person just returned. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Let's go. You guys are the, so now you're the new girl coming back, just coming back.
We talked about like little things would start to happen, whether it starts rumors or trying to step back in after being gone and kind of push that new person aside. Like one thing that I can think of, a personal thing, is like we have Friday lunches. So maybe like there's a table that seats 2. So I would go and sit next to that friend that I've had at the company and it would boot that other girl out. When maybe that's where she's been sitting for the last 3 weeks or something. Just little petty things like that.
Okay, other examples? I heard you give a really good one, Cynthia.
Oh,
Which
it was
one?
like sending out an email and excluding that person. It's like, oh, I didn't know your email address. Oh, I was gone. Sorry. You know, inviting everybody.
Because I've been gone, I don't know your email.
I
Oh,
wasn't
everybody has
aware
a
of
company
that.
email address.
Okay,
That's a good one.
yeah. I didn't take the time to look it up and see
Uh-huh.
where you are on the list. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not used
Wow.
to you being here.
Right, saying things like,
Yeah,
oh,
not used to her being here, even though she's the one you remember every morning.
Yes, yes.
Yep, good ones. Victims, how do you guys feel? She just left you out on email. That she just told you to sit, she took your seat for the last 3 weeks she would sit there.
We talked about a couple different
Yeah,
options.
we weren't that kind of a victim.
Oh, I love it, that's great.
It was that type
We were
of.
victimized a lot harder than just being left out by email.
Okay.
Okay.
What happened?
People talking about us behind our back.
Oh,
Okay.
not nice.
Yeah, that's being
Making up
victim,
stuff.
that's what I thought.
And people can either, like you said, making a choice to leave the company, not address it. You could address it, and then I think normally when people address any kind of somebody talking behind your back, no, it wasn't me.
They get defensive.
Yeah, they deny.
Or they just lie. That would
So you
definitely
think
work.
through your head, which is the best thing for me to do? I mean, this has been happened, this has happened. So am I supposed to just leave and just let them think what they want to think? Or should I address it and say, this is what I heard that you've said about me? And then knowing that that's going to cause defensiveness and maybe even more talk.
Yes. Or do you not address it at all and just let it, because you don't want to be in the middle of it.
So the victim has a lot of choices.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How did you guys see watching this?
Well, it depended on who was it left that came back. Were you friends with them before? Were you in touch with them during the time they were gone?
Okay.
Letting you know the stuff that was going on in between.
We felt like if you had a close relationship with the person, like, it's a person that sits right next to you, like in different scenarios where you have cubes and you're like, that's your cube mate practically, then you would be inclined to support the cube, the person and go to lunch with them and try to catch them up and like, well, this is what's going on and she's really, don't worry, kind of either assuage the situation, make them feel better that this is really not as bad as it seems, or it is and you unload that as well. But if you don't really know them, you probably just want to be not involved, just do your work. It doesn't seem like it affects you.
Let it play out.
Not
Just
my
let it play
business.
out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know any of the people involved really, and it's not your department, or does it directly impact your work, you have a tendency to not necessarily be as involved or care.
I think you said a really key word as well too just a minute ago. You said if we called her while she was gone to tell her what's going on. That's what the middle folks do.
Mhm.
They choose who they want to tell information
They don't
to.
lie.
They choose if they want to stir that pot or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? Nice key roles. Good job. Last one. Let's rotate. So now you guys are the victim, you guys are the bullies, and you guys are the.
Wait, we
We haven't been the We're the middle.
You're the middle?
We're the
Okay.
middle.
What have you guys done? Bully.
Bully.
Okay.
And y'all the vice.
Victims. Good deal. I'm glad you guys know what you are. All right. This is another one. During a staff meeting, every time you say something, Sally cuts you off.
We're Sally.
We are
Yeah,
Sally.
y'all are Sally.
I don't like Sally.
You don't like that name?
Sally is the rest of the middle.
We're the
We're
middle. We're the middle. We just decide who we're going to.
We're the other girl in the staff.
So,
So you,
This out.
you're
that's
Sally, you're cutting
happening
off all
many
the
times.
time.
So we're
You're
either
like
going to
this.
cut off the
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
we would either support the person cutting off, does she
Right.
actually have a right to do
Well,
that?
Her name's
Or we're
on
going to be against
We
her.
want to look like we're.
Or we said,
Or we say
We both said the
something.
meetings, we don't say it. So you know. Or maybe after the
Yeah.
meeting, you just say, she has some good points, you might want to let her finish. If you're comfortable
But I'm
with the
not gonna
book,
try to make
to
it.
say
Right,
that.
right.
So that takes on a whole different dynamic. Because sometimes you don't have, you don't have the authority to even address
Get
it.
paid to be unproductive.
So you may do nothing. You
Right.
may go to the bully or you may go to the victim.
Right, and just say maybe you want to, like,
And they
suggest this agenda so everybody have 5 minutes to say, you know, like things like that, that would make it fair all the way.
And then when you expect them to follow through,
But normally there's only one
behind
person.
your back.
Yeah.
Right.
and you'll
Yep.
say, well, you told me, blah, blah, blah. And they say, no, I didn't say that. And I
And
said,
unfortunately,
It happens
like,
all the time.
okay.
Do y'all think that this
Oh,
is?
yeah.
No, we should say it's
what she was doing. Was she ever going to show up in a meeting?
You
One more
think
minute.
our responses dependent on
I think
our
that's-
characters or our personality or something? Because I know
Right.
you see a person that always dominates.
part of
they're
the
not
other
allowing
people
someone who have
to
good
defend themselves and
input.
But if
For
we
instance, a
are-
lot of times the
are
quiet
selling
person
and
has
we're
a lot
butting
to
in,
say and nobody really give them a chance to say
Yeah.
and some exactly.
Then we are not doing that.
So,
I don't think it's all.
We're doing, yeah.
I don't know, I've really been dealing with this a lot lately, with different relationships and life, work stuff. And we're talking about having a show meeting, it's like,
All right, 10 seconds.
yeah, but I
Wrap it up.
gotta see other people and how they act, and I feel like I can always direct it back to how they embrace that, and how they're thinking.
People may actually take different roles depending on
Who they're in the room with.
right.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about it. Wow. You guys are Sally, you guys are the aggressors, and you just interrupted them in the middle of the meeting. What's the next move?
For who? Either one of you, which one are we talking to, victim or bully?
You got it.
You are the victim.
We are.
Yes. You guys are the victim. How's the victim feel?
Oh, that's you.
Unimportant.
Unimportant?
Or pissed off.
Yes.
It can go either, I mean, it can be both, but it can also go either way, depending on your personality and your own level of self-esteem.
Good. Right. What are you guys doing? What?
We're confident.
Oh, yeah, we think that we did the right thing, because we know everything.
Oh. Okay.
We know more than she does.
And we
Okay.
want everyone to know it.
We want the boss to know
Right.
that we know it.
That's so
Right.
true.
Oh, okay.
So true.
What about you guys? You guys are watching this whole thing go down. What are you guys feeling?
So depending on who, the personality, one, we could side with the victim and chat about the queen bee and say that's ridiculous that you're being cut off. Or we could go to the queen bee and basically say, well, you have every right to do that. You keep doing it and supporting them. Or you could sit back and do nothing.
Okay. Good stuff. Not really much of a solution though, is it?
No.
Okay.
Because everything
Nothing
is
resolved?
situation.
Back to your dollar sign, I mean, we have control of the dollar sign in some cases, like we can be super pissed off and sabotage
Yes.
our work. Or we can be neutral and do exactly the minimum required to keep getting paid, not one more thing. Or, we can productively get back into the bystanders and say, here was my idea I was gonna talk about at the meeting, what do you guys think about it? Kind of informally, still get the information out, but not under the overwatch of the queen bee.
Right. Good.
That might be, that might look like you're undermining though what the
Yep.
Queen Bee said.
It turns into a power struggle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of it turns
Because
into a power
now
struggle.
since this person's cut me off, I'm
Yeah.
just not gonna include them in anything I have to say. I'm not gonna copy them on the email because she didn't really care what I wanted to say anyways. I'll start a project my own self.
We'll let them know when the next staff meeting is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop and write.
Yeah, maybe, so I can talk next
He's not
time.
gonna get the emails anymore.
Right, did you have something to add to
I was
that?
just gonna say, it would depend on who runs the meeting also to control the meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
And say, we will let everyone around the room share ideas for 5 minutes. That way, the controller has control of what is presented.
Okay.
Because
And then what
sometimes,
happens if that bully still doesn't really care about what you have to say?
then your meeting coordinator just blocks it out and say, we're gonna hear everybody's ideas.
Yes.
And that's kind of how that
Time's
goes.
up.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you hear it, as long as the team hears it.
So Darla, would you say?
But we still passively aggressive.
Oh, yeah, they will do stuff.
We will do stuff, won't we?
Oh, yes.
We'll do
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
But see, in that scenario, depending on, like you're saying, who's conducting the meeting, I mean,
Right.
if it is the supervisor of everybody in the meeting,
Yeah.
then it directly impacts because it could become an HR issue then. Because
Right.
if the queen bee is all irritated and she's constantly on her phone not paying attention,
Right.
that's no longer the group's issue. That's then now between the supervisor
And
and
the queen
the employee. Or if we decide not to do any work or,
Right.
so it
And that's
just
how it becomes.
snowballs into a bigger
Yeah.
And that's how it becomes HR
Yes.
issue.
problem.
Yes, that's
And then the
exactly
other
how
one-
it comes. It comes when the snowball is already into motion. So the supervisors, if the supervisors don't know how to handle it, try to stop it from the beginning,
They're done.
we HR folks get to really see it in movement.
Mhm.
And then the attorneys, they
Yes.
get to see it when it's truly in
Right.
movement.
They will file
So,
a grievance against the.
A lot of that stuff happens together in those, when we can't control our issues. Okay, let's everybody go back to their seats, and we'll keep on going.
No, I want to stay here now. I know it's nice and warm over here, right?
We have a group.
We have a pink group, but we're not splitting up, no.
Take care.
Sorry. No, you're fine.
That was really good.
All right, so let's talk about the impact of relational aggression and what it really does to us as individuals. It really depends on where you are in your life and how comfortable you are and your self-esteem at the time. Then we've talked about how some of it can cause suicidal threats, suicidal issues down the spiral. That's primarily for the young kids, but adults can do it as well too, depending upon that if they don't know how to handle it. It can cause marital problems. We could be arguing in front of our kids, causing issues with that, causing issues for us to be more short with our kids and more tempered with our kids, and not really raising our kids how our bottom part says we should be raising our kids. It can make us just be upset, crying, and depressed. We're excluded from everything, and so we are just isn't as well. And it can also turn us to different activities that are just not really that great for our lives. So it's not a slight, small problem. As females take this pretty serious, and we let it impact us tremendously. So this is just an example of how it could derail our career. We could be on a path to promotion, a path towards something, and then get completely tired of dealing with it and leave the company altogether. Or somebody could set us up to where we're not the next one on the promotion. That person's the next one up for promotion. It just can really impact us in different ways when it comes to work and when it comes to life in our career. It can also it also lacks the support for female managers in the workplace. And I love this little saying. It's kind of like the crab. The crab person, you know, how you guys have all heard the story about the crab and the crab trying to get out of the cage. When the crab's trying to get out of the cage, but you know the crab sees that they're about to get out of the cage, to kind of pull that person right back down. So a lot of this can be applied to female managers and how we put female managers, or they get promoted, but we don't think that they deserve to be promoted, so we have our own opinion, so we start doing things on the sly to make sure that they get pulled right back down to us, and to make sure they are not a successful female leaders. You know, and then we wonder why there's about 50%, 51, 52% of mid-managers are females. When we get to the executive level, it's less than 5%. Where's that gap? Why is there a gap? Why are more females not going up there for these positions up here? Why are we choosing not to do that?
I don't think it's a choice. I think it's all of this back and forth that doesn't allow you to get up there because you're not a good example.
Very good. Did you guys hear her? She says she doesn't think it's a choice. It's all the back and forthness that's going on that doesn't even allow you the opportunity to go up to the top. So we having somebody else keep us down. Yep. The next thing was exactly what we were talking about, glass ceiling. You know, the glass ceiling is true. It is a huge thing that we would talk about, but we are not, I'm not saying that it's all females as to why we're staying and not hitting that glass ceiling, but I am saying that we don't support each other enough to help other females get stronger and go through that glass ceiling. If we would not bring people down, as the crab does, and we would support each other and realize that, yes, there are hierarchies in female roles, like men. You know, males aren't very young in life. They start off with sports. They start off with different activities to where they kind of have a pecking order. And you realize that really early in life. You know, someone might be better than you in certain areas. You have that pecking order. That's okay. You have your own pecking order. Females, we start off playing house, school, dolls. That's true. We want everybody to be included in everything we want to do. And you know what? Wendy doesn't want to play dolls today. She wants to play school. Okay, so if you want to play school, then how about for an hour we play for you and an hour we play what I want to play? It's a compromise. Fine. Yeah, fine. Usually exactly what happens. But the stomping on the foot. Fine. So you know, it starts from when we're young. It starts just the whole inception. So
you do that so well.
I've seen it, experienced it too. So when we look at how that impacts us and how it impacts as we get older, the hierarchy is we're not taught as females to be in hierarchy and to accept that. So whenever we have female managers that go up, one, the female manager is not taught how to be a female manager in front of other people is one thing, and then the ones underneath it are not really taught how to support them. And that's the reason why you'll find that majority of females would prefer to work for a male. because they don't want to have to deal with that kind of stuff. So,
True.
and that's a big impact when we're trying to work on women equality. We're trying to work on breaking the glass ceiling. We're trying to work on all that stuff, but then we don't even have, we have the preferences ourselves to work for men than we do for females. That's a big impact.
The truth.
So that's the other thing too. It encourages the difference between in equal pay. And kind of like what you were just saying, when we're sitting here fighting, we don't really look like we're pretty good at our jobs. You know? We probably spend some of it, it's like, I think the latest statistics was 79 cents to every dollar. So it's getting better, slowly. It's not there yet. But sometimes we're not showing the efforts that we need to get there. And this is not all just female. Like I say, there's some males that make the decisions that are truly just should not be making those decisions. But this is also something that we can do to empower each other and empower ourselves to where we can try to make sure that as a population, a female population, we can lift each other up and get paid what we should get paid. The other thing too is they unknowingly allow the male characteristics. Males have been in the workforce longer than the females. That's just the facts. They have set a cultural behavior for how the work environment has been. And when us females come in and try to do that cattiness, try to do the female stuff, it kind of makes the men not even want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with it. We're going to do it this way. And they're used to telling you, and they're used to the decision being done and the decision being made, instead of letting us have our seat up at the table to be part of that decision. So, when those females, there are some females that are it's pretty evident. They don't get into any of this stuff. They don't deal with any of this stuff. And then what do we say about those females? They have a man characteristic. Excuse me?
We will not like them necessarily.
We don't like them because they get along with the males better and they have male characteristics. Because they don't feed into this kind of stuff.
Which would it be?
There you go. Exactly.
You're right.
Shooting straight from the hip. So let's talk about why relational aggression occurs. One of the best research that I've actually seen is just with this golden triangle. And there's 3 different aspects of it. There's the relationships, there's the power, and then there's the self-esteem. So we'll go in and dive into that into different areas for the relationship. Relationships are connections to other people, our family, our friends, our coworkers, our colleagues, all of those folks. So with relationships, females, can we all agree that females are relationship oriented?
Oh, yes.
Whether we are at home with our neighbors, or whether we are at work, when we go to work, we seek out relationships. We seek out, your first day of work, you typically will find someone that you can kind of hang out with. You kind of want to know that kind of stuff and look at it. So we are more relationship oriented than males. If you ask a male who their best friend is, what are they likely to say?
They don't have
one, or they're called their wife, their best friend. You ask a female what their best friend is, what are they going to say? They probably have 3 or 4 people they can say, well, like this person is they talk about all their girlfriends. Because we are relationship oriented. We everything goes on this. Relationships almost define who we are as just a being. The next thing is power. Power refers to the external force that we have. So power is huge whenever it comes to females.
Right.
This is real, it's so big to where, I'm going to take some time talking about this. This is what is very interesting. Let's say you have a couple, husband and wife, that go to a barbecue with some friends for the thing. There's a new couple there. So the wife starts talking to the wife, and the husbands start talking together. Then on the way home from that, the wife can tell you usually how many kids they have, what college they're going to, what they're majoring in college, if they're engaged or not engaged, or if there's a possibility of engagement. You can also tell, that she's already sized up that other female to see, is my wedding ring bigger than hers? Is my watch about the same? Oh, she said she got after work and worked out and ran 5 miles at 6 o'clock. Oh, I didn't do that. I guess she's a little better there than I am. We know what people drive. We know some of it's materialistic and some of it is just internal. We know what kind of education they have. We know what their job is. We know, it's like a game. You sit there and one person looks at you and, oh yeah, well, my hair's a little bit longer than hers, so I'm a little bit prettier than her. And then over here, it's like, oh, but I got a better wig. And you just kind of jockey back and forth to see if you have more power than that person does. And that, at the end of the day, is what this is all about. It's just key. And on the way home, what did the husband say?
Nothing.
I found out what his favorite sports team was. That's about it.
That's the end of the conversation.
We all knew Hawaii did really good last night. That's about it.
They don't notice. We don't think they notice anything.
We think that they don't notice anything.
they're
Why?
not
Because they don't care what the other guy has their ring on.
Right.
They don't care if the other person has no hair or longer hair. They don't care.
You're right.
You know, it's just they.
And we wonder why they don't care.
Yes. Yes.
It's insensitive.
We think they're insensitive.
Yeah. Why do you not know where they live and that they have 3
Are
vehicles?
you a
We
marriage
should know
counselor
that.
too?
I was a former subsidies counselor, but not marriage. So this power game is like a dance for females.
Yeah.
We will sit there in a conversation and even not listen to the conversation half the time, trying to find a way to figure out how to change the subject a little bit, to where you think that you're going to be better than that other person. You know? So it might be when that person says, yeah, I'm so tired today. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning to run my 5 miles. I mean, really? Really don't need to know that in the middle of that conversation? Are you really that tired? You go to bed? Really? That's what we do. It's sad, isn't it? It's sad when we look at that.
Wow.
Wow, that's another thing. Then we're going to go to self-esteem. Our relationships and our power have a direct correlation of our self-esteem. With a lot of other things. You guys said it here. Cynthia in the group back here said it really powerful just a little bit ago. Whenever they didn't get the promotion, the other person got the promotion, the self-esteem was, oh, I'm not good enough. I wonder why I wasn't good enough. That's just, well, maybe I need to go back to school. You know, she does have a degree. Okay, maybe I need that. Oh, well, you know, on and on and on about our self-esteem. You know, then you find the females with the really good self-esteem and the ones without self-esteem. What do they think about that person that has the good self-esteem? That's the witch with the bee. Yes, sir. The witch with the bee.
Conceited is a good.
Very conceited. Yes.
Arrogant.
Arrogant. Yes. Acting more like a male, in our opinion, right? It's a domineering female.
Domineering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that in mind, we look at the self-esteem and we look into ourselves and have to know where we are, which that always plays a role. The power, the self-esteem, and the relationship. You put all those together, sometimes it's a perfect triangle. You put those together, sometimes it's like lopsided and it's totally off. And if it's off, that's when we start seeing the passive aggressiveness and the relational aggression behaviors. I like this little quote right here. It says, females sometimes feel like an imposter, like we're just faking it to where we're sitting up and being part of the table. It says, really feeling my imposter syndrome lately. What if I'm not as good as everyone says I am? What are you talking about? Everyone says you're the worst, including me. And that's kind of how the imposter feels at times. You know, everybody, yeah, you know, I mean, how many times do you go up to a male and said, great job on that presentation, great job on that project. They'll say, thank you. A female, what will we say?
Well, I could have did it better.
I could have done a little bit better. I should have probably prepared a little bit better. I should have done that. We are the worst critics of ourselves because we're putting our self-esteem down. A gentleman can just say thank you and move on. We can't.
I think women have a lot of self-doubt.
Exactly. A lot of self-doubt.
And I think society teaches that a lot.
Subservient behavior.
How about the word humble, though? Don't you think sometimes people feel, you know, are being more humble about they're not about their program or the project or their presentation?
I think sometimes that's exactly what it is. I don't know what that person is saying, so I don't really know in their head. So I guess the person that responds would know if they're being humble or if they really think they should have done better.
So if they say just thank you, that would be the ideal.
That would be
but sometimes they say, thank you, I really glad, that I like the job I did as well. So then they're lifting
Conceited.
themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful.
Yes.
You can't go, it's an edge on the sword. You
Yes.
can't go one way or the
Yes.
other.
But then you could say, thank you, I had fun. And that doesn't seem as conceited,
No.
right? So we don't judge. Yeah. And that goes back, when we start judging others, it goes back to the whole power struggle, the power between all. Okay, so as I talked about the relationships, the self-esteem, and the power all into each other, now let's talk into the dead even rule. This is where there really becomes a problem. So whenever the power, this is, you can look at the scale itself as a relationship. This is the relationship, you definitely have a relationship. Now the self-esteem and the power in this particular relationship is even. Things are going well. Now what happens when someone's self-esteem gets lower and someone's self-esteem gets higher?
It's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, it's out of whack. So over here you have it to where this self-esteem and this power for this person is bigger. So the scale's tipping on their side and the other person's up waving. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? That's when you start seeing the passive aggressiveness. That's when you start seeing I'm completely ignoring you. One little thing, it only takes one little thing for that to happen and we start doing those behaviors, right?
Yes.
One thing. Okay? This is just a great slide. In 1 minute we could be just like peaceful next to each other, and the next minute we're almost almost cat fight, correct? Okay, so we have a couple of these that is really great, just so we can see some of the behaviors that we do as females with each other.
I have never done that.
I'm so there with me, brutal.
Not you, it was.
We start gossiping, we start talking about that person, making sure that they know it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, silent treatment, that's excellent, isn't it?
That's so cute.
Isn't that also called blocking?
Yes. Yep. I call it boundaries. You call it boundaries? What a great manipulation there.
Who said that?
She did.
That was good.
That was a good one.
Okay.
Ignoring the person, just not even making sure they're there.
Oh, my.
The power struggle, we start playing that dance, playing that game. And that's whenever the employer is paying the employee to work, but we're quietly at our desk trying to figure out how we're going to get above that other person. And sabotage. Ultimately, at the end, when it gets really bad, this is what it gets to. Which usually doesn't start that way. There's different levels of meanness. It has progressed to that. So most females won't just completely go out and sabotage you completely. There's a reason. They've got several examples in their date book that they know why they do what they do. Okay, so how can we encourage women to stay professional in the workplace? Because at the end of the day, that's what's important. First, I think that every female needs to check themselves. I think we need to look at ourselves and see how are we adding anything to this? Are we encouraging this to occur? Because sometimes, we have to look at ourselves. Most of the time, you have to look at yourself. It's kind of like with the pointing of the finger. You have one finger pointed at somebody else, but you have three right back at you. So to make sure that you're not involved in some of those behaviors. After that, I think you need to find a mentor. And what I mean is a mentor. Not Sally, who is right next to you and part of your team members, and I'm telling her everything because she's my mentor. No, that's your teammate. Call somebody that's external, that is not part of this conversation, that can actually be a mentor to you. Quit the gossiping. It's just that simple. Stop gossiping. Make sure that people know that you're a no gossip zone. So they don't share that information with you. Never cut what you can untie. So if you are in a relationship with somebody and this stuff starts going on, don't cut that relationship if you can untie it. If it's at that point still to where you can talk about it, then it's encouraged to talk about it. Say you're sorry. If you have played some of this role, you need to stand up and apologize quickly and just say you're sorry. It's easier to get through the process a little bit faster. Talk it out. You have to be courageous. You have to go to somebody and talk to them. When somebody has done something to you and hurt your feelings in different ways, it does get kind of difficult at times. And so you need to make sure that you're able to go and talk it out. So your mentor should be able to help you get through this progress of talking this out. Sometimes you have to change people, places, and things. You know, being a former substance abuse counselor, this was huge. And sometimes this is huge now too. If you've been in a work environment that is just not a healthy work environment, and they can't get that environment healthy because it might be the business owners that are just involved into it. It might just be who they are, people that have worked there for a long time. You need to go find a new people, place, and things.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of that to take care of yourself. And remember that it's reciprocal. All women win if we have the right women in the roles. So let's help each other out of that crab cage. I have several quotes that I always love to finish a conversation on, just to remember. The first one is, surround yourself with only people who will lift you higher. Some people come in our lives as a blessing, and some come in our lives as lessons. So there's always something to learn from someone, which is always kind of nice to try to remember. Albert Einstein says, the woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before.
Right.
In life, you're going to be left out, talked about, lied to, and used. But you have to decide who's worth the tears and who's not. So remember, that's all about you. It's all about you. Sheryl Sandberg, definitely very strong female leader in our community. And in the future, there will be no female leaders. There will just be leaders.
Right.
And that's an awesome day when that decides to come. And her Time magazine, the cover was, don't hate her because she's successful. So she's making a real strong stance for us women in the workplace. And then, oops. Whoa.
Well, that was nice.
That was pretty cool. Okay, this is the last one I have. It's amazing how much your life opens up once you stop filling it with meaningless activities and pointless drama. Cut complainers, haters, manipulators, and other negative people out of your life, and watch your world expand in every direction.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I appreciate you guys coming.
Wonderful.